All right, what is going on, everybody? What is going on? Good evening. Good evening. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Lakers over the Jazz, 143 to 135. If you're wondering, Al, where the hell were you? Wanted to listen to JJ Redick. I find when I'm doing these post game shows, I really like listening to JJ before I get the show started. So I did that tonight. Just got a chance to listen to JJ kind of wrap things up there on Spectrum. So we got a lot to get into tonight. 143 to 135. Lakers put up 143 points. They do it without Austin Reeves, without DeAndre Ayton, without Gabe Vincent. Let's just put it this way: offense, not a problem for the Los Angeles Lakers. Defense, yeah, that's a problem. That is definitely a problem. But we'll talk about all of it tonight. Obviously, some positives to talk about, and then also some concerns. I think if you look at this team right now, they continue to stack up W's. I mean, 19-7 through 26 games is a really good record up to this point. Obviously, Lakers winning a lot of their games right now, beating up on teams that they should beat up against. Tonight was not one of those games. I wouldn't call it beating up on teams that they should. I would call tonight more of a holding on for dear life in some cases. Constantly having to try to figure out a way to come back. Lakers were pretty much down for the first three quarters of the game. And every time they got close and they got it down to 3 or 4, and Utah would push it back up to 6 or 8, but Lakers would take over in the fourth quarter and put up 141 points. We'll talk about a number of the players that did contribute tonight. JJ Redick said something. I'm going to get to Redick's interview in just a second, but he said something about Luka that really stood out to me, and I think it's a proper way to describe Luka Doncic, and something that Stu Lance said during the game as well. I think for me, this post-game show is not going to be just blue skies and roses. Yes, it's a win, but I think if you're trying to look at the Lakers from a big picture perspective, there are definitely some concerns with this team. And, obviously we know what side of the ball that is. That's on the defensive side. So we got a lot to get into. If you got some comments here, feel free to throw feel free to throw as many comments as you guys want in there, and I'll do my best to try to get to those comments as we go. Please consider subscribing to the channel as well. So I appreciate you guys being here. Okay, let's get into the game. 143 to 135. I mean, right out the gate, you got individual performances that are just absurd. Why did it not feel like Luka had 45, 14, and 11? How does that happen? How does a 45, 14, and 11 just kind of sneak up on you? But it kind of did. It kind of does sometimes with Luka. I thought Stu Lance said something great during the broadcast. He said that when you watch a great player every single night, you kind of start forgetting that they're a great player. You just get accustomed to it. I mean, if Lakers are playing, I don't know, I'm just trying to get an example here. If the Lakers are playing the Houston Rockets and KD goes off for 45, you kind of walk away that game saying, wow, look how great KD is. Or if the Lakers played the Oklahoma City Thunder and Shai Gilgeous had a triple-double and 35 points, you're like, wow, look how great Shai is. The problem is if you watch Shai or KD every single night, it almost just starts becoming normal. It's like going to a great steakhouse every night, and then you start, losing the appreciation for the wonderful steak that you have in front of you. I think that's what happens with Luka. I think that's what happens with LeBron. I think that's what happened back in the days with Kobe and Shaq and some of these other greats that have represented the purple and gold. The more you watch them, the almost less that you appreciate their greatness. Luka tonight had a very quiet 45, 14, and 11. I want to go to something that JJ said. Redick said this about Luka. He said he has stretches of playing excellent and engaged and defensively there. And then he says he has stretches where he's not as engaged offensively and defensively. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here. But I think that's a great way for JJ to explain JJ to explain Luka. There are times where Luka's brilliant. I mean, towards the end of that game, kind of you smell some blood in the water, and Luka goes for the absolute kill, and that's what he does. Luka will take that kill shot. Luka will like I said, I'm using that as an example and obviously a sports metaphor here, but Luka's basically saying to himself, all right, we got a chance to end this game right now. I'm going to end it. There's also stretches of the game where I'm watching Luka and I'm like, he's not doing what he needs to do defensively. I don't know if he gets bored. Is that a fair way to put it? But how does a man put up 45, 14, and 11? And in my own head, I'm saying to myself, I had no idea that. I mean, of course, I know he has a triple-double coming just based on the broadcasters and everything else. But I thought that was an interesting comment from JJ Redick, but I like it because I think it was honest. It was saying that all the players on the team have stretches where they play excellent. And then all the players on the team, they have stretches where they're not as engaged offensively or defensively. And I think you could see that sometimes with Luka as well. So Luka ends up with a triple-double, does what he does. Bron, 28, 10, and 7. Let me say this about LeBron, and I think this will be good to go over LeBron's last couple of games because I do feel like we're starting to see just a more comfortable LeBron James. Tonight he has the 28, 10, and 7, shoots 47% from the field. Against Phoenix, he had 26 points, shot 47% from the field. The game against the San Antonio Spurs, I know the Lakers lost, but he shot 50% from the field, 19, 15, and 8. The point that I'm trying to make is Bron is kind of slowly but surely starting to look a little bit more like LeBron James. The game before that was the game against Philly, where he had the 29, 7, and 6. So he's doing some things in these last couple of games where at least offensively he's starting to look a little bit more like himself. So Bron, a nice night statistically for the Lakers. But it wasn't just LeBron. It wasn't just Luka. They won this game because they had a number of players contribute. Shout out to Marcus Smart that hit some big time threes towards the end of that fourth quarter. I know he ends up fouling out, but he had a couple of key threes, 3 threes in a row that kind of really gave the Lakers the cushion. I think got the lead up to 8, 9, eventually to double digits, and then they had to hold on for dear life. I got a difficult time why the Lakers are, whatever they do to get the lead, how they completely go away from that, and they just want to run clock. I can't tell if these guys are tired towards the end of the game. I can't tell if Luka and LeBron are just kind of saying to themselves, oh, we'll just take a shot 20, 22 seconds into the shot clock, and then we'll take our chances from there. But certainly some moments towards that fourth quarter that you worry about. But go back to Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, like I mentioned, just what he was able to do towards the end of the game there and hit a couple of those threes, obviously key threes. I thought Jackson Hayes continues, steps into that starting role because DeAndre Ayton's not going. I thought he was great. I thought he was really nice tonight. Another 17 points for him, knows his role, 16 points for him, knows his role, 7 of 7 from the field. What were they trying to say? I think they were trying to say against the Utah Jazz, he hasn't missed a shot. He still hasn't missed a shot. I mean, just kind of incredible stats from him. And I know all these buckets are coming from around the basket. JJ postgame said the guys off the bench changed the game. All right, who are the guys off the bench? Maxi Kleber, I thought, gave the Lakers some good energy minutes. Jared Vanderbilt, you could love him or you could hate him. I want to see more of Jared Vanderbilt. 11 rebounds, hustles all over the place, 5 offensive rebounds, had 7 points. And then Jake LaRavia, man, I'm rooting for this guy. I really, really am. I want to see this guy succeed for the Lakers. I think they're desperate to have Jake LaRavia succeed. Tonight was the more of the type of game that I think shows the all-around player that Jake LaRavia is. He goes out there, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, does a little bit of everything, and it was nice to see some of his contributions. Only other player I think I didn't mention was Rui. Rui with 13 points, hit a big 3 at the corner. I think Jazz got the game all the way down to 7, or got it all the way down to 4. Rui's 3 got it back up to 7, and then the Lakers obviously closed the deal from there. I don't want to – I haven't looked at any of the comments, so I got no idea just kind of the scope of how people feel about this game or anything like that. But I'll give you, my angle. You take wins, you stack up W's when you can. You look at the Western Conference, and we all know that the West isn't easy, and the West is it's a difficult place, and you lose 2 games in a row, you can go from the second best record to the 5th or 6th best record. That's how close and bunched up everybody is. But they also didn't look good tonight. I think that's also part of my takeaways. I can't tell with this team. they get bored. They know that they're good enough and they have star power, and those stars kind of coast a little bit and then decide in the fourth quarter we'll turn it on. Um, or they're just that bad at defense. But looking at the Utah Jazz tonight and looking at some of their players, every bucket they were getting, if it's a three, I didn't see a hand in anybody's face. If it was a two, it was usually an uncontested two where somebody's getting close towards the basket. But you look at some of these players for the Utah Jazz and see some of their stats. Keontae George is a nice player. I mean, that dude is absolutely balling out. And I remember I didn't know anything about Keontae George until the first game that the Lakers played against the Jazz this year, and the guy just went on a run. He had a phenomenal first half. Lakers slowed him down in the second half. Keontae had 34. Ace Bailey had 19. They had a couple of dudes come off the bench. Isaiah Collier got any shot that he wants. Sensabaugh, for the most part, got any shot that he wants. There are a lot of players. How many players do they have scoring double figures? I think they had 6 players in double figures. I think Lakers did as well. But they had a lot of dudes just getting to the basket and kind of doing whatever they wanted to do. So take the win. Obviously, add it to the record. 19-7 on the season is a really, really good record. A really good record. I'm not trying to downplay that. That record is wildly impressive. 19-7. If I look at that in the standings, let me see this in the standings. Just want to look at this in the standings. By the way, if I'm critical of the Lakers, every team obviously has ups and downs. It's not like the Lakers are the only team. Lakers have the 5th best record in the league. It goes OKC, Detroit, Denver, New York. Then the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs are tied at 19-7. So I'm not undermining how impressive of a record the Lakers have, but there are a lot of times we're watching the Lakers play. I had Mark Medina on this morning, and we're talking a little bit about the game or about the Lakers and where they're sitting and everything else. And I think we're both on the same page of this. Look, if you can't play defense, you're probably not getting out of the second round. If you're giving up 135 to the Utah Jazz, what Utah have in the first half? 78? I think it was 78 that they ended up having, so that says a lot right there as well. All right. Right now, while I look at some of the comments, Bron's saying that the Lakers in the fourth quarter, they got stops, that Utah, scoring, they get a lot of buckets, high usage rate for the Utah Jazz. They didn't have Lauri Markkanen as well, by the way. So LeBron basically saying in the fourth quarter, Lakers found a way to get stops, and that's why they won the game. I think that was the only quarter. No, I think the third and the fourth quarter, they held them under 30 in a quarter. I know that sounds kind of funny, but when you're giving up 135 points, obviously that's an issue. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments here, and we'll continue to talk, obviously, about the Lakers and go from there. By the way, how about that? How about that Thursday night football game? I had the game on in the background. I had the Rams and the Seahawks muted, and then I'm watching the Lakers game. But I had it on the background, and I'm just looking at that game like, first off, I don't know how the Rams blew the lead so quick, but they did. And then the 2-point conversion it was a backward. He threw the ball backward. I don't even know. I had the entire game on mute, but just an incredible game. All right, let me see some of the comments here. I'm going to try to go a little bit here towards the beginning so we could see some of the comments that came in. Ugly win, but a win nonetheless. That's a good way to put it. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a good way to put it. An ugly win is the right way to put it, but it is a win. Lakers had a great fourth quarter. I think 41-29. The Lakers outscored Utah in that fourth quarter. So gives you a little bit of an idea of how they got there. A couple people got here in the comments here. Rams lost the big one. Just an incredible game. 2 teams 11-3 this late in the year. Phenomenal. Slee, Lakers win on the road. That's a good thing. They were pointing out the Lakers road record. I have not given the Lakers enough credit from this perspective. The Lakers on the road so far this year, it's got to be the best road record in the NBA. No, definitely not the best road record in the NBA. Lakers are 12-3 now on the road. Denver's 12-2. Oklahoma City's 12-1 on the road. Those are your top 3 teams on the road so far this season. So a ton of the Laker games have been played on the road. I do think that's a good thing to highlight and to point out because even if it's Utah's not an easy place to play. Utah is not obviously an easy place to go get W's at, and the Lakers getting one there is certainly nice. Defense still the main problem. Let's get a couple more in here, and then we'll go from there. We are $53 million off this league, and we still have 19 wins. Imagine when LeBron retires. I know LeBron had some pretty good numbers tonight. Slee, offense can win you a game now, but the defense will part in the postseason. Yeah, listen. You guys kind of know my stance on this. I'll take defense over offense on any given day. I don't know how sustainable it is to give up some of the points that they're giving up right now. I don't think that's a good combination. And obviously that's something that could eventually hurt the Lakers down the road. But as of right now, they're 19-7. And I would say this is the one thing that I've tried to mention a number of different times. I'd rather have a team like the Lakers where it is so clear what their flaws are so that the front office can address their flaws. I think that could be a positive. If there's anything to take away from how bad the Lakers defense has been, is anybody that talks about the Lakers, the first thing they're going to say is, Al, where's the defense? Which is a very fair argument. It's a very fair point. If we're talking about it, then obviously the front office knows damn well that the defense is a problem, and you got some time to figure that out. I know that kind of clock's getting closer and closer, but they have plenty of time to figure out what to do before the trade deadline to try to get at least a couple of players that can have some type of better contributions and have a little bit more of a foundation that includes defense and not just offense. Get a couple more in here, and then we'll keep rolling. I got a couple other stuff I want to get into from a topic perspective. Luka has some kind of psychological issue going on with the threes because he can absolutely do much better with them. Otherwise, though, he's doing his job. He needs a better supporting cast. Luka, is it fair? I think Luka gets bored sometimes. I'm not kidding. I feel like Luka gets bored. I feel like he knows it's an 82-game grind. He almost wants the game to probably be a little bit closer than it needs to be because he's like, all right, well, this is exciting. And a lot of the other portions of the game, he probably is not all that excited. Let's see this one. Slee, give Smart a shout out. I mentioned a little bit earlier, and I don't know, this comment could have came a little bit further down, but I mentioned a little bit earlier. There was a stretch there that the Lakers probably don't win this game if he doesn't hit all 3 of those threes. I think I think the game was that close where each one of those threes had to come, were needed for the Lakers. Okay, let me get one super in here. I think it was Muka Enrique or Kike who admitted that he's got bored and checks out a bit during the regular season. Probably the same for Luka. Yeah, I would say the Mookie's a better comp than Kike, even though that guy's a baller in the postseason. But I'm talking about MVP caliber player. That's what I'm referring to. Thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you. And I think there is some truth to that. I think some of these stars do get bored in the middle of the season. It's December 18th, and they have 50-plus games left. So in their mind, they're like, it's a freaking Thursday night against the Utah Jazz. I'll hold my beer while I go off for 45 and a triple-double. Thank you again for the super. I appreciate you. Okay, a couple other things I want to talk about here as we continue to kind of highlight a couple things from this game tonight. I always try to look at, when the game ends, I always try to look at the box score, and I look at some of the team stats, and I try to look at, what obviously stands out. This is actually a couple of things that were interesting here. We don't see this very often. Do you know the Utah Jazz shot 47 free throws to the Lakers 39? Lakers get their fair share of free throws. Jazz shot 47 free throws and missed 16 of them. What if Jazz shot 80% from the three-point line? Lakers probably end up losing this game. So that's a stat that stood out to me. Rebounding 48-39, Lakers with the advantage. And I think this will tie me back to individual performances. Vando, of those 40-something rebounds that the Lakers had, Jared Vanderbilt had 11 of those. By the way, Luka had 11, Laravia had 6, and then LeBron, I think, had 7. So there's a chunk of your rebounds right there. I, I like the minutes Vando has got these last couple of games. And it's not that Vando has come in and then all of a sudden the Lakers have put themselves in a position where they're now getting stops after stops. That has not been the case. However, at least I know there's a player there. There's a hustle guy. There's a guy that has a little bit of an edge to him. I think having him and Marcus Smart out there sometimes there's an advantage to that, just strictly because, like I'm talking about, a couple of enforcers. I want to see that. And I'm not telling you Vando is perfect, and I'm not telling you Vando every time he takes a shot are you like, oh well, that's not good, or that's going to clank off, or the defense on the other side, a coach from the other side is like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and take as many of these shots as you like. But I did like seeing a little bit of Vando today, and some of the rebound advantage that the Lakers had, I do think came from him. A lot of his rebounds, over 50% of them were offensive rebounds. 32 assists for the Lakers, only 7 turnovers. So that's kind of a surprising stat there for the Lakers. 32 assists and just 7 turnovers. That's a phenomenal ratio. You don't see that very often. You really don't. And then Lakers, obviously, we mentioned towards the end up with a lead in the fourth quarter. They started a new stat on ESPN in the box score that I really like. It's called percentage lead. For what percentage of the game did you have the lead? The Jazz had for 75% of the game, the Jazz had the lead. Lakers just 21% of the game, and it all kind of came towards the end. So Jazz really controlled the game for almost 3+ quarters, and then Lakers in that last 6 minutes kind of took over the game. So that gives you a little bit of an idea from that perspective. I know 75 and 21 doesn't add up to 100, but some ties in the middle there, and that gives you the full percentage. So smart stat to have there. I'm a fan of them having that stat there. I think that's a very I think it's a good idea to have that stat. All right, I got to give a shout out here to one of our partners, one of our new partners. A shout out to Harris Resort SoCal. If you're looking for a getaway, you want to kind of get out of Dodge, you're saying to yourself, you know what? I want a staycation. I don't want to go get on a plane, the headache of going to an airport, the cost of going to get a couple flight tickets, and you go to wherever you go. It could be to Phoenix. It could be to Northern California, wherever you go for a couple of hours. I got a better solution for you. Why don't you get in your car and drive 2 hours to Harris SoCal, Harris Resort SoCal, which is located right in North San Diego area. They're a brand new partner, not a new partner to me. I've known the people there at Harris SoCal for a number of years. Here's another example of another company, another business that did partner with me when I was on radio. Now they're joining me on YouTube. So really, really love to kind of see this, the channel growing, not just with listeners, not just with views, not just with subscribers, but also partners that value what we're doing here. And I really appreciate Harris SoCal being a part of the mix here. HarrisSoCal.com. You could book your stay today. Go take a look. There's always availability. Obviously, it gets a little bit tougher if you're trying to do something that's closer as far as a date goes. But if you plan your date further ahead, I'm sure you could find some great pricing and get away, take the family and get away for a couple of days. HarrisSoCal.com. That's HarrisSoCal.com for a staycation type of getaway if you're out here in Southern California. Okay, let's keep things moving. We're moving today. Today we're all over the place. By the way, just a quick reminder, tomorrow, a member show at 7 a.m. tomorrow. So tomorrow we will we'll come back and get a member show in at 7 a.m. Then we'll do our regular show at 8 a.m. So I'm looking forward to that. We're kind of getting a little bit of a momentum here of doing that member show. If you're not yet a member, you can be a member just by hitting the join button. It's $3 a month. So thank you for considering that. Okay, here's what the Lakers got coming up here. By the way, I'm looking at Spectrum. Clippers, Suns, Rockets, Kings, and the Detroit Pistons. We got some fun matchups coming up. What's the where are the Clippers now? Where are they? Where are they? I know if I look at the standings, I just go towards the bottom and I can find them. Pretty sure they lost to OKC a little bit earlier today. They did. I didn't see the score. Do you know the Los Angeles Clippers are 6-21 on the season? And if I'm correct, they don't keep their pick this year because they have a pick swap with the Thunder. The Clippers are 6-21 on the season. That's the next game for the Lakers. They got the Los Angeles Clippers coming up 7:30 on Saturday night. So a pretty late tip-off there. They lost to the Thunder 122-101. Oh my gosh. How are they that bad? Lakers are sitting at 19-7, and the Clippers are 6-21. The hope is, and I heard this during the broadcast, the hope is that the Lakers can get some of their guys back. So maybe they get Austin Reeves back. Maybe they get DeAndre back. Certainly Gabe Vincent. They need all these players. Unfortunately for the Lakers, they still got a lot of guys that are kind of coming in and out of the lineup. All right, let's keep taking a look here. We'll get to scores around the NBA standings. We'll do all that in just a little bit, but I want to start looking at some of the comments here. All right, let's see. Keep overlooking Luka's bad habits. He takes so many shots, many where no one else touches the ball. How can anyone else get into a rhythm? But teammates are supposed to cover for him on defense. I don't think this is a terrible point. I don't. There was a stretch in the game where I thought the Lakers were playing some pretty good ball, and Luka wasn't on the floor. Luka was on the sidelines. And it was actually a crew led by LeBron. And I think there was a little bit of this, the ball's going to move a little bit more. Offense was a little bit more fluid in the sense that you can't just kind of key in on one player. Here's the problem with Luka. The problem is he's so good and he's such a superstar that there are times I don't disagree with you. I think there's some times where I'm watching Luka play and I'm like, all right, stop bitching and complaining or whatever it is, right? Like there could be something. Luka ain't perfect and he's not going to play games that are perfect. And even in the quote, I mentioned JJ said this. JJ had said that he has stretches of playing excellent and also stretches where he's not as engaged defensively and the offense is kind of there. He's not running what they want him to run. Even JJ admitted that. So listen, my job is not to come on here and just tell you that Luka Doncic is flawless. He's not flawless. And there are areas of his game at times where, you say, all right, Luka, you got to, if you move the ball a little bit more, you get other guys going. Or, I don't know, you pick whatever area you want of Luka's game you want to be critical on. I'm here for the conversation. Here's the problem. Even if Luka is having a not so perfect night, even if Luka doesn't look as great as he typically does, Luka can still drop on any given game 45 points, 14 assists, 11 rebounds, 5 steals, shoot 50% from the field, and get to the free throw line 16 times and hit 13 of his free throws. There's only 4 or 5 players in the world that can do that. Luka's one of them. So, are there some headaches that come with Hookah? Are there some headaches that come with Luka sometimes? Sure, absolutely. 45, 14, 11, 50% from the field, got to the free throw line 16 times, had 5 steals tonight. What am I supposed to say? I mean, if there's a different game, what was the game Luka struggled in that we were critical of Luka? Which game was it? I'm trying to see here. Luka was really bad against Phoenix, I think it was. 29-6 for Luka, but he only shot 28% from the field, 14% of his threes. That's a game where you could be more critical. Also had 6 turnovers. Remember, him and LeBron had, I want to say, 14 turnovers between the two of them. Lakers still won that game. That's the game to be more critical about. But anyways, I got no problem. No problem at all having the conversation and pointing out certain guys that we want to be critical on. That's okay. That comes with it. Scored 140 plus points, and Luka got a 45-point triple-double, and people crying because others didn't get to play more on offense. The problem is defense. Sounds like LeBron stands. Of all of this, the problem is the Lakers defense. That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to put up points. That ain't going to make you compete for a championship. It's just not. And the good thing is December 18th, a lot of time. They could figure this stuff out. They could go out there and try to address some of the players. I mean, go look at the team that the Lakers had. Remember this. Go look at the team the Lakers, or I'm sorry, go look at the team Dallas had when they got to the NBA Finals. That's a well-rounded team, a champion, a killer in Kyrie Irving. Hit one of the biggest shots in NBA Finals history in a Game 7 that helped LeBron and helped the Cavs win a championship. Really nice players all the way around. P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. They put together a really nice squad around him that complemented the great things that he brings to the table. The Lakers are going to need to do the same. And frankly, it's not going to be Luka's job or in his DNA to slap the floor and pick up a guy 90 feet. That's just Luka's going to be who he is. And the Lakers, it's going to be up to them to surround him with the right players. All right, let's get some more in here. Let's see what we got here. Luka gets assists, but he doesn't really share the ball, partly why the offensive rating isn't as high. Luka is inefficient, and when other players do get opportunities, they have to be perfect. Guys, it comes with the territory of playing with, I did say Luka Doncic. It's a good tie. It fits perfectly with him. All right, let's get some more in here. All right. Sounds like Pelinka needs to replace some of these bums with spot-up shooters. Yeah, I saw this a little bit earlier today. I saw, or somebody had it in the comments. Somebody mentioned something about, and I mentioned it this morning when I was doing my show. Somebody mentioned Dalton Connect with that 30-point game in the G League. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a G League. And his value isn't all of a sudden going to go up by performing in the G League. His value is going to come up if he's playing with Luka and the Lakers, and all of a sudden Luka's seeing this guy cooking and giving him the ball. I don't think Luka has a problem with other guys cooking. I think he just needs to know that there's people around him that also have the capability to be a true threat on offense or be a real spot-up shooter. Get another one in here. Slee, thanks for the show, brother. Thank you. AR Seattle, 10 spot there. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super. Very kind of you there. Thank you, buddy. All right, let's see what else we have here. Luka hate is despicable. Listen, he ain't a perfect player. You can also speak of areas of his game as well that, certainly he can improve on. And then you could just look at the stat line and you could just say to yourself, did the dude have 45, 14, and 11 with 5 steals and shot 50% from the 3? And then all of a sudden you quiet down a little bit. That part is true again. Okay, let's look at let's get this one. Laravia is back to being an offensive threat. We need him to stay in the group. Can I say something about Jake Laravia's game that I really, really like? I don't think he just has to be an offensive player in order to be impactful. Jake Laravia, I feel like, is when he's in a not thinking mode, I don't think offense is kind of his strong suit. I think there's other areas of his game that I really like. I like that he rebounds the ball. I like that he makes smart basketball decisions. I like that he knows that he's playing with other superstars and tries to be really, really smart and strategic with how he helps the team. I think there's a lot of other areas that Jake Laravia, he brings certain things to the table for the Lakers that I think is beneficial. The biggest thing with Jake Laravia is just trying to do it on a consistent basis. The biggest thing is that he can give JJ Redick confidence to say to himself, let me keep Jake Laravia in. And, if you look at the two players, if I said, hey, who do you want in the game, Jake Laravia or Dalton Connect? You're going to say Jake Laravia. If I said, who do you want in the game, Jake Laravia or Gabe Vincent? I'm going to lean towards Jake Laravia. The problem is Gabe Vincent can't stay on the floor. There's some players out there that I'd rather see Jake Laravia. You said Jake Laravia or Vando. I'll go Jake Laravia because he's a more all-around threat for the Lakers. So I think that's important as well when we're talking about it. Vando has become Ben Simmons. Vando became Ben Simmons. Well, I think it's Ben Simmons became Vando because Ben Simmons at a time was a really, really nice point guard in the league and then just got completely scared from shooting the ball and wants nothing to do with offense. So I think it has more to do with that. All right, we got some scores from around the NBA, and I want to do some. I want to look at the standings here real quick, and then we'll start again. I want to look at just some of the games that the Clippers have lost to, some of the games who they've lost to, and everything else. So we'll do that in just a second. Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, an official injury attorney partner of the post game show here, and then of course the channel as well. I really, really enjoyed it. There was a listener of ours that sent me a message on Instagram and basically was asking, "Hey, Slee, got something going on. Do you think Brad Wallace can help me with that?" Already asked for his email address, already clipped the message, sent it to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, and I'm going to connect these two together and see if he can help him. Any legal questions, any legal trouble that you got going on. Obviously, he's an injury attorney, so serious injuries, wrongful death case. If you need an introduction, I'm happy to make one. If you just want to go to the website, you can go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Go to the website and get a free consultation, and certainly we'll find out if whatever it is that you're dealing with, if he can help you. Whether he can or not, he's going to point you in the right direction. So he can help anybody in the state of California, and he's the best in the business. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Shout out to all the listeners too. Listen, the partners look at what some of the comments saying. You guys are always so positive with all the comments, so that obviously means a lot. I know it's appreciative, and I appreciate it as well. All right, let's take a quick look at scores from around the NBA. Scores around the league. All right, that's it. Now we're done. Now we're back to a regular NBA schedule. Now we don't have to worry about NBA Cup or any of that stuff. All right, let me give everybody some scores. Blazers and the Kings are in OT, 129-126. Blazers got a lead. Hornets beat the Hawks, 133-126. Hornets, what are you doing? Knicks barely hold on. They actually had to come back and beat the Pacers, 114-113. Heat over the Nets, 105-95. I mentioned the Clippers and the Thunder, 122-101. Spurs keep winning. They're 19-7. They beat the Wizards, 119-94. Raptors over the Bucks, 111-105. What the hell? Pelicans beat the Rockets? All right, you see that one coming. Good for the Lakers. Rockets now 16-8, but Pelicans win 133-128. Damn, this is a surprise one too. I didn't even see all these. I'm actually checking the scores for the first time myself as well. Mavericks over the Pistons, 116-114. Nuggets over the Magic, 126-115. So Denver keeps winning. They're 20-6. And then the Suns beat the Warriors by 1. Warriors now 2 games below 500. Warriors are struggling. No idea what they're going to do, but yeah, I don't have a problem with that. They could struggle as much as they would like. I did mention Lakers got the Clippers coming up on Saturday. Just to kind of give everyone a quick idea, I mentioned Clippers are 6-21. Let's see what their losing streak is. Oh my God, they are bad. Look at this. Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They've lost 10 of their last 11 games. They got one win. It was against Atlanta. They lost. Right now, they're on a 5-game losing streak. Memphis, Minnesota, Houston, Memphis, and OKC. They are struggling. Do they have everybody? Who are they missing? James Harden didn't play against the Thunder. Derek Jones Jr. is still out and spotted working on Saturday's practice. Obviously, we know Bradley Beal's out for the rest of the season. Man, Clippers are in. That squad is in trouble. Let's put it that way. They're in trouble. Okay, let's take a look at some of the final comments here, and then we'll get ready to wrap up the show. They are awful. I didn't know it was that bad. I guess I did. I just don't know how much I really paid attention to it, to be honest with you. OKC about to get the number 1 pick, shaking my head, Clippers. Yeah, I don't know how many people know this. It was like maybe 2 weeks ago or so. Who was it? I'm forgetting the name here. ESPN. He gone out there and basically said the whole league is terrified that if the Clippers stay this bad, the Oklahoma City Thunder are still collecting picks from the Paul George trade. And they have a pick swap if they want it this year. And this is, I'm not a huge college guy, so I don't know all the players that are there. But there is a lot of conversation about how this is a very deep draft and the top 3 guys can all be number 1 picks. And if one of those top 3 players, if one of those top picks end up with the Clippers, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to get that pick. Oh, my Lord. Let's get a couple more in here. Pick 2 bench shooters from the Jazz, and with Luka, you can get a chip. It's simple, but it ain't easy. Utah's got some good young talent as well. They really do. All right, Warriors need to trade for a time machine. You might be right about that. About to roll some herb. I don't know if that's for Herb Jones or that's just your own personal herb. Whichever one you want, I'm completely okay with. You do your thing. Here's Herb. Herb Jones, 8 steals. Aside from all the negatives, this is a great time to be a Laker fan. Listen, it's a good team. Nobody's saying that this is a bad team. I think what most people are trying to say, and I think the message that's being thrown across is if you really want to compete with that elite, you can't be giving up 100 and what they give up 78 in the first half to the Utah Jazz. So Lakers got some work to do. Take the win, no question about it, but Lakers obviously got some work to do, and I don't think I'm breaking news when I say that. But keep stacking up the W's. 19-7. I mean, listen, I'd rather Lakers win this game, and we're talking about how their defense has got to improve, than they lose this game and they lose ground in the Western Conference, and their defense needs to improve. So either way, their defense is still going to be a flaw of the Lakers, and they're going to have to figure that out. All right, my people, I think that's all we got for today. We got a busy couple of days coming up here. So just a reminder here. We have a member show tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Get the regular show tomorrow at 8 a.m. And then we got the Lakers and the Clippers post-game show coming up on Saturday after the 7:30 tip-off. So it'll be a fun couple of days here, a lot to react to. Much better than freaking going 4 or 5 days without a game. So that part's going to be fun. If you didn't catch the Thursday night football game, go back and see those highlights. Just amazing. Really, really good. Really, really good. Slee, see you at the member show. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that and looking forward to it. Damn, 7 a.m. I know it's early. We got to make it happen. What are you going to do? Get that show in. Get the members some love. The members help me prep for the show coming up. I'm looking forward to it. All right, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for being here. Lakers over the Jazz, 143-135. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. I'll see everybody tomorrow morning, whether at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night.